To all my marketers out there, you're probably spread real thin right now. I'm sure you need some help between creating content, launching campaigns, generating leads, scoring leads, nurturing leads, and a lot more stuff with leads. You barely have a moment to breathe, let alone do your best marketing. But that's where HubSpot and Breeze, its new built-in AI, come in. When you combine the power of Marketing Hub and Content Hub, you can have your best quarter, every single time. With tools that instantly remix your content, lead scoring to shine a light on potential customers, and AI-curated analytics suite for reports and KPIs. And that's all alongside co-pilots and agents to automate all of your tasks, making your life easier, getting you the results faster, and better connecting you to all your data all in one place. Doesn't that sound nice? So stop spreading yourself so thin and start making major moves with HubSpot. You can visit HubSpot.com/marketers to learn more. All right, good morning, everybody. Today's Tuesday, February 11th. I'm John Weigell here with Rob Litterst, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Digital shoplifting is seemingly all the rage with younger customers. Wearing something once and returning it, lying about delivery mishaps or credit card chargebacks have all been employed by consumers to stick it to clothing brands with generous return policies. But these brands are pretty much done getting the runaround. So how many people are participating in digital shoplifting, and how are companies cracking down? We'll get to all that. Before we do, let's give you the news in business and tech. To start us off today, more robotaxis are coming your way. Lyft announced that it will bring fully autonomous robotaxis to Dallas, Texas in 2026, with more markets to follow after. The company is partnering with Mobileye, an autonomous driving company, to accomplish this goal, and it's coming up real soon. Next, Hyatt Hotels is making a big acquisition on the beach. Hyatt just bought Playa Hotels and Resorts, a company with 24 high-end hotels in Mexico and the Caribbean, for around $2.6 billion. The hotel giant company looks to add more luxury offerings outside the U.S., and honestly, who can blame them for wanting some in the warmer weather regions, right, Rob?
100%. I love this acquisition too. It's super focused and strategic. And I think when you're talking about what kinds of hotels are worth a lot and are kind of never going to go out of style, I think beach resorts where you can kind of relax and decompress for a nice weekend trip are always in vogue. And one of the cool things about this is that Hyatt actually plans on finding third-party buyers for Playa's owned properties, and they expect to actually make $2 billion by selling those assets by 2027. This is part of the CNBC article that reported on that. But it's going to kind of fit into Hyatt's asset-light business model, where they basically prefer not to own these physical properties, but just to manage and franchise them. So a super cool and hopefully lightweight way for them to get some new inventory on the beach and plug into that Mexico and Caribbean market.
Yeah, pretty good idea to expand their network without actually having to do a lot. Right. It seems like they're just going to manage these properties that already exist. So honestly, kind of a win-win for both.
Exactly.
Up next, Donald Trump claimed in a Truth Social post that he ordered the Treasury Department to stop minting new pennies. The U.S. Mint lost $85.3 million, producing 3.2 billion pennies in 2024, with each costing 3.7 cents to make. From there, we go to fast food. McDonald's saw sales to its rewards members grow 30% in 2024 to $30 billion, despite dips in revenue and same-store sales, weirdly enough. Pretty interesting, Rob, considering that in late 2024, McDonald's was really struggling with an E. coli outbreak and their sales were pretty down. But these rewards members are coming in hot for them.
So wild. It's really crazy to me, just given the focus on kind of like health and wellness and all that sort of stuff. McDonald's is still seeing business, man.
Yeah.
I mean, these rewards programs are genius. You get people who just get hooked on the savings, and it just completely ramps up their loyalty. If you look at Starbucks, I know we've talked about how Starbucks is struggling a little bit on this podcast of late, but I mean, at their scale, I think struggling means something different. Same with McDonald's. They're not really struggling. It's just they aren't growing like they used to. These rewards membership programs are an absolute game changer for them. Like, look at that, $30 billion in rewards members revenue. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, with all these fast food companies developing these apps now, It's so funny because you could be a rewards member for a day, right? Go in there, download the app, get a free burger or something. And then the next day at noon, you get a push notification being like, you want more fries? And you're like, yeah, I do want more fries. So it's a really good way for them to reach more consumers. And it's a good way to retain the business model over time.
Totally agree.
And finally, the number of new marriages hit a record low of 6.1 million in China last year, down 20.5% from the year prior, according to China's Ministry of Civil Affairs. More marriages are also ending in China. 2.6 million couples registered for a divorce in 2024, an increase of 28,000 from 2023. Hey, everybody. I've been listening to this awesome podcast lately. It's called Nudge, hosted by Phil Agnew. It's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. So have you ever noticed how the smallest changes can have the biggest impact? On Nudge, you learn simple, evidence-based tips to help you kick bad habits, get that raise, and grow a business. Every bite-sized 20-minute show comes packed with practical advice from admired entrepreneurs and behavioral scientists alike. And Nudge is fast-paced, but still insightful with real-world examples that you can actually apply. Oh, and by the way, it's the UK's fastest-growing business podcast. I was listening to an episode recently that Phil, the host, had on Harvard professor Mike Norton, and Mike convinced Phil that he had to handwrite every single one of his emails before sending them to understand what he was really trying to talk about. This process, although it sounds insane, he claims, Phil, that it made his emails 3.5 times better. You got to listen to this podcast. It's a great way to understand how email marketing can help your business. You can listen to Nudge wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, on to our main story today. So consumers have been scamming the retail system a bit with returns, lies, and more of that ilk. This has been happening so much that companies are now starting to crack down on these behaviors. So Rob, first, can we talk about what this term digital shoplifting encompasses?
Yeah, this is wild. And we've had a few of these stories lately. In this situation, some young consumers are basically trying to make their money go further by finding retail loopholes, which essentially means returning items after wearing them once, using chargeback services on credit cards, or pretending that they didn't receive the things that they ordered. And we specifically had a story about this a couple weeks back, I think, about Amazon and how so many people are doing this with the Amazon goods. But this trend in general is being called digital shoplifting. And it's kind of crazy. So this company, Secure, an anti-fraud company, recently surveyed 2,000 people and found about half of Gen Z and millennials who earn more than $100,000 a year said they had digitally shoplifted in the last year. Which, come on, guys. Like, if you're making $100,000 a year, you don't need to digitally shoplift. Like,
you don't got to do that.
Let's go.
Exactly. But that's such a crazy figure because it is a lot of younger people like millennials, Gen Zs who are doing this, more chronically online people probably doing these things. I'm wondering also, how can we explain this happening? Because it seems like a smart idea, right? Order something, wear it once, send it back. You have it for the pictures forever. A lot of people I know don't repeat outfits, so they have that one outfit for that one day, send it back. Seems kind of smart, but now everybody's kind of catching on. So how can we really explain this trend that's going on right now?
So I think there are kind of 3 high-level reasons that are being attributed to this trend. First is inflation. A lot of clothes and other goods are getting more expensive. Influencers are also marketing digital shoplifting as a money-saving hack, which just feels so irresponsible.
Yeah, geez.
And then a lot of these brands have really generous refund policies, and I think this is the easiest solution. I've literally tried to return things at Amazon, and they'll just be like, keep it.
Yeah.
Like, it costs us more to help you ship it back than it even makes sense for us.
Yeah, no, that's what a lot of brands are turning to, actually. This one clothing brand, Cider, they make kind of like fast fashion-y, kind of think like Shein.
Yeah. Okay.
Around that type. And apparently when they send you clothes, they're like, oh, if you want to exchange for a new size or if you don't like it, just keep it. It's okay. We'd rather not take the sustainability risk of taking back these clothes and shipping them again and doing everything like that.
Love that.
A lot of these companies are just allowing you to keep stuff, a la Amazon too. But what about these returns? The return industry seems pretty ridiculous nowadays, especially at Amazon, but also at clothing retailers. If you can just get an item, try it on, like it, not like it, and just send it back immediately for a full refund. So how do you think retailers are dealing with returns right now? What is the process usually for receiving a return? Does it cost a lot? Is it like a big industry, the returns industry?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think for most retailers, returns are a huge headache. I mean, if you just think about like what a return typically entails, it's like time and money, right? You need to transport these products back to warehouses, assess their conditions. You need to hire somebody to actually take a look at them most of the time. Maybe AI can kind of take that over in the future. But then you need to issue refunds. You need to repackage and ship it to a new consumer, or liquidate, donate, recycle, or dispose of the item. Right. There are a lot of steps to the process of returns. And when you line them all up like that, it makes sense what you're talking about with cider. It's like, no, just keep it. Like we don't want to go through any of that. And same with Amazon. But I mean, Amazon's at a crazy level of scale where I think like their economics, they're just totally fine taking those losses. Mm-hmm. The National Retail Federation and Happy Returns, which is a UPS company, projected in December that the value of returns in the US would be $890 billion in 2024. Ooh. If you want to look at like how many purchases that impacts, retailers estimate that about 17% of purchases will be returned.
There's also the taking out the middleman from returning online, right? You're in store, you see a person and you have to return something and maybe it looks a little worn. You wore it out one day maybe and you're trying to return it. Harder to get away with. Online return, you just kind of stuff it in a box and hope for the best.
Totally.
So I can kind of understand the easiness of an online return versus in person.
Exactly.
Overall, what kind of effect is all this returning having on these brands and how are they starting to really crack down?
Well, I think some companies are actually starting to implement stricter return policies and fees, which I do think makes a lot of sense, especially if you're a clothing company and you're dealing with this on just a super regular basis. So some companies have started adding tags or ribbons to items to prevent them from being returned once worn, or they're charging customers if they send back items too often. That's the piece that I think more companies could do really well. And I know Amazon has really solid tech for that. Another example, ASOS introduced a return fee for UK-based shoppers. And then Opali, Zara, and Pretty Little Thing are also starting to crack down on their return policies. I think this is kind of the next step.
Yeah.
It seems like every line of online business is starting to get a little bit stricter and starting to optimize more for profitability. Like in the world of SaaS, you're seeing less software companies give away their whole product for free, right? They're starting to really crack down and get really strict with usage limits. On the consumer side, you're starting to see some of these companies scale back the super consumer-friendly policies of the past where they would really let consumers get away with everything. So I do think that's the answer. I think we'll probably settle at a healthy medium there. But my bigger soapbox thing to say today, John, is just come on. You wouldn't do it in the store, so don't do it online.
Yeah, it kind of ruined it for everybody. I remember I got a Zara shirt for an event that I was going to, and it wasn't exactly what I expected. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll just return it. I didn't even wear it. I just returned it. And I noticed that Zara charges now like about $5, $6 for a return fee. And I was like, oh, okay, did not know that. And now, so I got got. It's my first slap on the wrist that I've received. So yeah, understood. It seems like a minority ruined it for the majority, but still, you got to expect that this is coming, especially as brands champion and prioritize their e-commerce more so, because they're making way more sales online than they are in person in some cases. So
totally,
there you go. Yeah. All right, and that'll do it for us today. Thanks for tuning in to the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor is Robert Hartwig. Our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a ton more tech and business coverage in our newsletter, so go sign up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We will see you tomorrow.
New year, new resolutions. And this year on the Best Idea Yet podcast, we're revealing the untold origin stories of the products you're obsessed with. And we promise you have never heard these before.
Ever wonder how the iconic Reese's peanut butter cup was invented? Because it was by accident. H.B. Reese, a former frog salesman,
true story,
stumbled upon the idea after accidentally burning a batch of peanuts.
Classic.
Proving that sometimes our best ideas arise from what seem like our biggest mistakes.
And Jack, did you know there's a scientific explanation why humans crave that surprising combo of peanut butter and chocolate?
I didn't, but it sounds delicious.
It is delicious.
So, if you're looking to get inspired and creative this year, tune in to the Best Idea Yet. You can find us on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts.
And if you're looking for more podcasts to help you start this year off right, check out New Year, New Mindset on the Wondery app. Who knows? Your next great idea could be an accident that you burned. This is Nick.
And this is Jack.
And we'll see you on the Best Idea Yet.